very compelling. Again, it just shows that our government is not telling us the truth.
You have credible witnesses seeing really important things in the sky, doing things that no technology that anybody knows anything about can do.
They're seeing them in the skies. They're seeing unusual stuff in the water. They don't know what to do about it.
And he confirmed through those sources that Russian ICBMs were shut down by craft over the flight.
What's going on, everybody? This is Scott from Mysterious Planet. This time I decided to take the UAP Sessions on the road and head to Washington, D.C. for the historic Congressional UAP Hearing on September 9th, 2025. Yep, there I am. I was sitting there, front row seats, to witness history and was able to get some pre and post hearing interviews from people like Daniel Sheehan, Stephen Bassett, Dr. Keith Taylor, and Congressman Representative Burchett. And I gotta be honest with you, when the witness list was first released, I wasn't very impressed, but I'm glad I went because this hearing well exceeded my expectations. So let's dive in and watch what happened. What's going on, everybody? It's about 4:30 a.m. right now. I've been up since like 3 a.m. To get myself ready, get to the train station so I can get to DC on time for the UAP hearing. I'm super excited about it. The witness list is okay. I think they could have done a lot more with the witness list, but yeah, man, I'm hoping for the best, keeping my hopes high but my expectations low. So let's see how this goes. All right, here we go. I am in DC, walking over to the visitor center, which I believe is straight ahead over there. So let's go. And waiting in line before the hearing was a whole experience in itself. I got to hang out with Dr. Keith Taylor and Christopher Bledsoe. They shared UAP and orb videos they had on their phone. We got to chat for a while. It was just a really cool experience. What's going on, guys? I'm here at the Capitol Visitor Center. We've been here since 5 something in the morning. A lot of people here, but not as many people as last time. I'm actually really surprised. The turnout is not as big as it was last time. Still a lot of people, but yeah, it's not a lot. And just before the hearing started, I was able to get a pre-hearing interview with Dr. Keith Taylor, Stephen Bassett, and Danny Sheehan. So let's take a listen at their pre-hearing thoughts. Professor Taylor, what are you expecting out of today's hearing? What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for movement and advancement in terms of the public's understanding of the nature of the UAP phenomenon, and especially looking at what government can tell us about how they're handling this situation and what needs to be addressed. Because the general public has a genuine curiosity and real needs in terms of what to do when these situations occur, when they encounter UAP, when they see it in the sky, who do they report it to, what kind of response can they expect from their government on how to address any kind of potential issues or problems they may have. Now, both from a domestic security perspective and also from a national security perspective, because they're seeing them in the skies, they're seeing unusual stuff in the water. They don't know what to do about it, and they're looking from Congress and government for leadership and guidance, and frankly, sort of coming to terms with the reality of the situation, not as we wish it to be, but as it actually is. So I'm looking forward to learning more today from these witnesses, and hopefully finding out what the government is going to do about it.
Mr. Bassett, what are you expecting or hoping out of today's hearing?
Yeah, this hearing is going to be more interesting than people think. I know everybody wants everything at once and they're looking for something spectacular. This is going to be a significant hearing, and it's part of the process leading to ultimately what we've been wanting for all these years. All right. So the one thing that you want to watch for, okay, that many people just will not understand how important it is that when George Knapp testifies, one of the things he's going to testify under oath to is the research that he did back in the, oh God, I think it was over 20 years ago, maybe early 1990s, where he went to Russia, the Soviet Union, might have been Russia, and he did a lot of research there. He got in touch with a lot of top people, and he confirmed through those sources that Russian ICBMs were shut down by craft over the flights, okay? This will be the first time that testimony of any type with respect to the shutdown of nuclear ICBM missiles is going to go in front of Congress under oath. Our witnesses to this have been trying to get in front of a hearing for 30 years. Well, guess what? Bob Salas, who leads those witnesses, there are at least 5 or 6 who could testify tomorrow. And of course, he was present for the shutdown of Maelstrom in '67. He is a guest of Burleson. He will be in there watching the hearing. Afterwards, he's going to have a meeting with Congressman Burleson. He will then be on Burleson's podcast. All the other offices have gotten all the information they need about this from me. So the thing is marinating quite well. But what George is going to do really opens the door. And so don't be surprised if maybe the next hearing is 4 Air Force officers talking about how they were present when all of the nukes of nuclear ICBMs were shut down while a craft hovered overhead and the security guys were running around scared to death. Some were found balled up, hunched together, literally shaking. But they're not available yet to testify. But if we have a major hearing on this, some of them may come forward. So they're firsthand to the craft, right? Watch for that. That may be the most important thing that happens today.
I think we're going to get more of, I saw this really interesting thing in the sky. Now they've come down from being kind of dancing stars in the distance doing really peculiar things down to much closer stuff. I think we're going to get information about a much closer set of observations, like 300 feet above them, and it being like 100 feet across, and it's definitely a vehicle of some sort. We're going to get some testimony like that. I think the big thing about these folks is that the credibility of their credentials. They're going to flog the fact that one of the guys was a big major guy in the anti-terrorist program. So everybody's going to go, ooh, an anti-terrorist specialist. He must be really credible. And so what you're going to get is a supplementing of credible witnesses seeing really important things in the sky, doing things that no technology that anybody knows anything about can do. And that's what the nature of it's going to be. And we'll see what George Knapp is going to do. If George actually testifies, as distinct from just submitting his stuff in writing, he can say a lot of stuff. But he's a journalist, and it all has to do with people he's interviewed who have said things. And so it's he said, and so you get a skeptic in the House of Representatives, or somebody who's afraid of getting ousted from office by the national security state if they go too far, and they're going to say, well, that's he said, that doesn't prove it. Show me, and then that's still where we're at, and I think we'll still be there after this hearing today. So the question is really whether or not this is going to have any effect upon getting people to actually pass the bill, the 64-page bill, to get the Senate to include it in the management package to put into the National Defense Authorization Act, and whether the House is going to do the same. So that's the question as to how far down the road this particular hearing is going to contribute to that is not at all clear.
And finally, it was time to get started. So what I'm going to do now is go over some things that I felt personally were real highlights of this UAP hearing.
Can you explain what you observed in terms of size, behavior, and why you're confident it was not conventional technology?
Great question, ma'am. So on the base, I lived in the barracks. There was a little smoke pit outside. I was there on the telephone and looking across to the flight line, and I see a white light pop up and stop about 100 feet in the air. I thought it was a weather balloon. I've seen tests from there before, weeknight, normal thing, not surprising. I actually finished my cigarette and I began walking up towards the flight line. There is a track, and because I was on 3 months of night work, I would walk the track at night when we were weathered down. And as I began walking towards the light, towards the flight line and the track, the light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light, and then it was a triangle. It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze, dead. I remember how thick it was. It was between 1 to 2 stories thick, equilateral triangle. I could never see the top of it, and the edges were 90 degrees. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture where you have the colors and then the black background. So the craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft. I'm under this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then the center light flashes 2 to 3 times, no sound, immediately shoots up to commercial jet level minimum, in my opinion, and I immediately feel static electricity all over my body, and then I smell the smell of after a thunderstorm or lightning storm, that really strong summer thunderstorm smell. Gets up to flight level. I'm trying to get my phone reset, and I can only see the center light at this point. If I didn't actually see it take off, I would have thought it was a star. And then it hovers up there, and it begins to slowly move due east out over the Atlantic Ocean. I finally got my phone reset. The entire thing was about, from the time I saw the light pop up near the hangar until it took off out over the ocean, was about 15 minutes.
And the crazy thing about Borland's testimony, that the craft was basically covered in this flowing golden plasma lava-like substance. I mean, that's a crazy description. I don't know that I've ever heard that in any UFO story up until this point. One of the most significant parts was George Knapp's name drop.
Are any of you willing to name specific gatekeepers within the root cell of the UAP-SAP Federation?
I have a name for you.
Go ahead.
Glenn Gaffney, CIA.
Glenn Gaffney, CIA.
See, the thing about George Knapp is a lot of these other witnesses are either involved in the military or the government, and either have signed NDAs or, for whatever other reason, they're unable to talk about the things that they know, at least not publicly. But see, George Knapp is different. He's a journalist. He doesn't have any NDAs. He can talk about whatever he wants. And for this reason, this name drop was so significant. Nestatelli also had a very good testimony, where he talked about the giant red square UAP.
I personally witnessed one of these events and investigated others as they occurred. 6 other service members have provided me with the information that I will share with you today. The incursions began on October 14th, 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. This event, now known as the Vandenberg Red Square, was referenced by Representative Luna at the first hearing on this topic. Official Air Force records of this event are in possession by Aero and the FBI. Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed. About a week later, another patrol reported a light over the ocean behaving erratically. Believing it might be an unannounced aircraft, they declared an emergency, and an armed response force responded. Before the forces could arrive, the object descended and either landed or hovered on our flight line, and then took off again at impossible speed.
Also, shout out to Wiggins for coming out. We've seen his video before. His video was shared online maybe last year at some point. But props to him for coming out and putting his story out there to Congress under oath.
On the evening of February 15th, 2023, at approximately 19:15 PST, in the Whiskey 291 warning area off the coast of Southern California, I was serving on board USS Jackson. During that period, I moved between the Interior Communications Center, ICC-1, and the bridge wing, correlating the sensor picture with visual observations, part of my routine responsibilities for surface and air picture management. What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our system. A self-luminous tic-tac shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up with three other similar objects. The four then disappeared simultaneously with a high synchronized, near instantaneous acceleration. I observed no sonic boom and no conventional propulsion signatures. No exhaust plume, no control surface articulation on the Sapphire image system. Shortly after the synchronized departure, radar tracks dropped. These observations were multi-sensor and recorded inside of ICC-1.
And besides being present to listen to the testimonies, it was also really cool to be in the room when Representative Burleson premiered a UAP video that had not been seen yet.
Q9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone, and so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does. This is when it zoomed out. You can still see it traveling.
The video illustrates an object flying over the ocean off the coast of Yemen. It was filmed by an MQ-9 drone. And in the video, you see a Hellfire missile that was shot from another MQ-9 drone hit the object. The object appears to break into several pieces, but keeps moving. And after the hearing was over, I was able to catch up with Representative Burchett. Burchett has been one of the most vocal congressmen on the UAP issue since Gresh's testimony. So I took this opportunity to ask him his thoughts on Burleson's video, Luna's comments about issuing a subpoena to Kirkpatrick, the former head of Arrow, and about disclosure in general. Take a listen.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, brother.
What did you think about the new video that Burleson just showed us?
It's very compelling. Again, it just shows that our government is not telling us the truth, and it's corrupt at its core. I mean, it goes past parties. It's a lot going on behind the scenes that I hope one day somebody will get some disclosure.
Do you think we'll get Kirkpatrick in with the subpoena?
I don't know. These guys, they run around those things pretty easy. I'm not sure. I hope we do. Luna's a pretty tenacious lady. She's one of my best friends in Congress. So, and my wife loves her, so that's cool.
That helps.
Yeah, but no, I think short answer is no. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's going to have to be a president just going to say, open the books.
How do we get that to happen?
Well, we got a president right now that's he's talked a lot about opening some books. So let's push him. I'm gonna push him a little more.
All right.
In my next conversation with him.
All right. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you. All right. So that's the end of the hearing. It was better than I thought. Mr. Borland had some pretty crazy story to tell, and there was some names dropped, which I think is helpful. Hopefully, we'll get some subpoenas. Luna mentioned she would subpoena Kirkpatrick, former head of Arrow, so see if that goes anywhere. But I mean, I think overall it was successful. We got a new UAP video that Mr. Rep Burleson showed, which is really interesting. A missile hitting a UFO. I don't know. Something breaks up, and I can't tell if it's the missile breaking up or if it's the UFO breaking up and just continuing to move forward. So we got some pretty interesting stuff. I need to go back, watch all the videos again, and really figure out, I'm processing this all right now. All right, on my way back home, I am starving. I'm thirsty. You have to throw away all your food and drink before you go inside of the building. So that sucked. Also, this was also my fault. I wasn't thinking clearly, but my keychain has a carabiner on it, and the carabiner has a little pocket knife attached. Because it's a weapon, I can't bring it into the facility, so I actually had to go outside and throw my keychain away, which really sucked. So I just have all these loose keys. So that's a lesson learned.
So I hope you enjoyed this special edition of the UAP Sessions. If you enjoyed that video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy UFO related content. And I'll see you guys next time on the UAP Sessions.